Hello and welcome. This video is a fourth conscious reflection on the book of Genesis that gives the absolute truths about spirit within. We have already made the connection that I am is speaking from the spiritual perspective, and the scribes and religious leaders are who changed the words to a physical perspective. With that being said, please realize we have already recognized when I am refers to earth, he is speaking of our physical temple that houses our soul, containing our spirit during physical life. Also, within our brain, we have physical life and our spiritual life that is divided by the firmament between our left and right side of our brain. As we spiritually grow, we begin to remove the division within our spirit. And at that point, we become one, which is called the Holy Spirit. By now, you should be able to recognize we have been living life from a mirror image perspective. The absolute truth is, while we are thinking through the left side of our brain called our mind, we perceive life from the negative first perspective. But once we listen to the spirit within, we realize what appears to be negative through our mind is actually here to teach us how to become one within the Holy Spirit. Therefore, all things become positive. As we continue working our way through verses, we will also be supporting these absolute truths through science and the words of Son of Man, because we recognize that the words of Son of Man is the Spirit mediating through all doctrines within all belief systems. Please remember, it is written, I am created us in his image and in his likeness. Therefore, our physical life is here to teach our spirit everything I am knows. The absolute truth is the spirit always shines through if we view life from the positive first perspective. Now, when we look at Genesis 1:24 and 25, we need to recognize the creatures first mentioned are sea creatures and flying creatures. And now we have cattle, creeping thing, and beast. But if we look closely and compare verse 24 to 25, Moses states that cattle are of their kind, yet I am says after his kind. The reason is cattle are considered sacred in Indian religions such as Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, as well as African paganism. Cattle played a major role in many religions, including those of ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, ancient Israel, ancient Rome. Therefore, I am being the supreme spiritual entity recognizes all spirits as part of one. And Moses is showing us that he is still dependent on his physical mind and viewing the spirits as individuals instead of one body of water. But we still have the first creatures mentioned as water creatures and next flying creatures. So please allow us to clarify through science. Fish is the most consumed protein in the world. Fish also contains omega-3 fatty acids that has been linked to brain development and is considered a psychotropic medicine crucial for social development and medicinal practices. Science also tells us the most important creatures for human survival is creatures that fly because of their pollinating contributions and the consuming of 75% of disease carrying insects. Please recognize that both the left and right sides of the brain are saying the same thing if we look from the positive first perspective, because this is how we find the absolute truths. And we can all agree because we have found the common ground. So now we are left with cattle, creeping thing, and beast. We have all heard the scientific speculation that methane gas from cattle is a major contribution to global warming. We're well aware that science has shown that the deadliest viruses and parasitic diseases started with or were transmitted by creeping things. This leaves us with beasts as the most threatening to human survival. But this is not the beastly creature as our mind would like to think. Instead, it is actually the beast within our mind, called the left side of our brain. Once again, this can be confirmed by science simply by looking at the history of science and the use of lobotomy to try to tame the inner beast. If you research, you will find that 95% of lobotomies were performed on the left side of the brain. Science was so confident that the inner beast was contained within the left portion of the brain that US President JFK's own sister received a forced lobotomy at age 23 because her father said he could not handle her rebellious mood swings. Recently, it has been discovered that she was merely suffering from deep depression due to societal pressures of being a Kennedy. This is the absolute truth of what happens when we take a negative first scientific approach instead of a positive first spiritual approach. In the next video, we will begin starting with verse 26 when I am tells us the meaning of life. The absolute truth is, when you choose to look from the positive first perspective, reality becomes perfectly clear. You realize everything is exactly how it is meant to be. All things are positive, and you will see this when you choose to wake up. May peace be with you.